a big fire there as they exited out of turn 3, and that looks very nasty indeed, and unsurprisingly, that is a red flag.
And into the tyre wall.
What you are about to see lasted 27 seconds. Inside that fire is a living human being. He is conscious. He feels everything. And before those seconds run out, he will do something this sport hasn't seen in nearly half a century, even though at that moment he is certain he is dying. To understand the value of these seconds, let's rewind to the time when everything was still normal. November 29th, 2020, the Bahrain Grand Prix. 20 cars pull away from the starting grid just as they had 1,000 times before. In the middle of the pack is 34-year-old Romain Grosjean. It is his 10th season and his 179th race start. Yet his fate is already sealed. His contract has not been renewed, and in 3 races' time, someone else will take his seat. Remember this detail. By the end, it will take on a completely different meaning. Exiting turn 3, 4 seconds to impact. Grosjean shifts to the right, a routine maneuver to gain a position. Watch his right rear wheel.
It was in the middle of the car, and it's literally...
Whoa!
Contact with Daniil Kvyat's wheel. A light touch, but his racing line is ruined. From there, it's a matter of pure mathematics. Grosjean hurtles toward the barrier at 192 kilometers per hour. The angle is 29 degrees, not head-on. It is oblique, like a blade. That is precisely why the survival cell doesn't bounce off the steel, it slices through it. The impact force is 67 Gs. Multiply your own weight by 67. That is the force with which he was slammed into his seatbelts. The car is torn in 2. The rear half lies on the track. The front half, with a person inside, is embedded in the barrier. It is burning so fiercely that temperatures are soaring past 1,000 degrees. Where so much fire came from is a question to be answered later. Right now, there is a far more terrifying question. Grosjean is trapped. His left leg is pinned by cockpit wreckage. The headrest and steering wheel have been torn loose and are now holding him inside. Later, he would utter words that make one's blood run cold. I am calm. I am dying. Outside, there is silence on the radio. 27 seconds by the official clock. 28 by his own count. 1 extra second. A second that belonged only to him. There, amidst the flames. And he starts to move. He yanks his leg free, straight out of the shoe. The shoe stays behind in the car. He knocks the headrest off with his shoulder. He pushes the steering wheel aside.
Roman went with the front of the chassis underneath the barriers.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
Well, the halo saved his life.
He got out on his own. And now, why shouldn't it have happened? The last 2 times a car pierced the barrier like this, in 73 and 74. Both drivers died. For 46 years, such an impact meant one thing in this sport. Grosjean climbs over the barrier on his own 2 feet. The FIA investigation will piece together the answer. The fire, the fuel tank, against all odds, held up. A joint in the fuel line burst, spilling fuel into the flames. The head saved by a titanium halo, a part that Grosjean himself called unnecessary, and half the paddock a disfigurement. The barrier hit it perfectly, and the people, race doctor Ian Roberts and medical car driver Alan van der Merwe, walked toward the fire when every instinct dictated otherwise. The FIA President's Medal for the rescue. Result: burns on both hands. 3 days in the hospital. From this in 3 days. By the very next race, that barrier was covered with a wall of tires. They re-examined the lines, the capsule, and the gloves based on his accident. He himself retired from Formula One, but not from racing. In the paddock, they now call him Phoenix. IndyCar, pole position at Indianapolis. And in the fall of 2025, he got behind the wheel of a Formula One car again for the first time since Bahrain. This is the view from the Formula One cockpit. The speed is over 300 kilometers per hour. In a few seconds, this car will leave the asphalt and flip in the air. The person behind the wheel doesn't know it yet, but you already know what no one else on the track knows. He will emerge from the wreckage himself. Cuts, bruises, everything. The question remains, to which different answers still prevail. Who is to blame? Watch it, and the answer will surprise you. Valencia, June 27, 2010. 33-year-old Mark Webber arrives here third in the championship and has his sights set on the title. His Red Bull is one of the fastest cars of the season, and he qualified on the front row. Remember that third place. It will be worth it again in the end, because in 9 laps, the title contender will be fighting for 17th place. Anomaly 1, the start. From second place, Webber falls to 9th in 1 lap. The team decides to outsmart everyone with an early pit stop. Anomaly 2, the mechanics get stuck with the front left. Seconds tick away, and Webber rejoins the track at the very back, right behind Heikki Kovalainen's Lotus. One of the slowest cars in the championship. The fastest car of the season is locked behind the slowest. This pairing is the bomb. Lap 9, the fastest point on the track, 310 kilometers per hour. Watch the gap between the cars, how it melts away. Now, frame by frame, let's see what happened here. The third anomaly, the main one. Webber got too close. The air behind the race car was ragged. The Red Bull's nose was caught in this turbulence, and the downforce that keeps the car on the asphalt simply disappeared. At 310, the speed of a jetliner taking off, the car behaved like an airliner. It broke away, a complete backflip, and then landing on all fours, now out of control to rip through the asphalt all the way to the barrier. The impact was so strong that the brake pedal in the cockpit broke. But the man didn't. Webber recovered on his own. Cuts and bruises were all that was left. Coulthard, on air, would call it one of the happiest days in motorsport history. Webber's teammate Vettel won the race while the debris was being removed. The safety car regulations were rewritten for the next round. Webber himself? 2 weeks later, he won the British Grand Prix. And that same third place, he was fighting for the title until the last race of the season. Watch closely. The red car is heading straight for the barrier, and the driver isn't braking. No steering wheel movement, no attempt to evade, nothing. At that moment, the commentators are thinking pilot error. At that moment, the engineers are thinking technical failure. The truth is worse than both versions. There's no one behind the wheel of this car anymore. The body is in the cockpit. The mind is switched off. Everything was decided by 4 seconds before this shot. 4 seconds that the driver himself will never remember. Let's rewind. July 25th, 2009. Hungaroring, Budapest. Saturday, qualifying. 28-year-old Ferrari's #1 driver, Felipe Massa. 9 months ago, he held the championship title in his grasp for a mere second, until Hamilton made up the difference on the final lap of the final race. Now the task is more modest, to turn around Ferrari's disastrous season. The second part of qualifying. Massa on a fast lap. Ahead of him on the track is a compatriot, 37-year-old veteran Rubens Barrichello, the season leader in a brown GP. And here's the detail everyone missed. Barrichello had already reported on the radio. Something had fell off behind him. Neither he nor his engineers understood what exactly. For several minutes, the report hung unanswered. This was the only window through which the disaster could still be stopped. It closed silently, and for Massa, that radio exchange would be the end. His memory would not retain anything that followed. The speed in this section is over 250. Then, those same 4 seconds, a part separates from Barrichello's car. Black. smaller than a palm, about 800 grams. It doesn't fly off to the side, it bounds along the asphalt. Each bounce is a new height, a new direction, a lottery, and at head height, the mass doesn't see it and won't see it. The closing speed is 261 kilometers per hour. The eye doesn't stand a chance. Look at the visor.
Massa had already made it into Q3 and was just a few seconds behind the Brawn. He went hurtling into the path of the errant spring and into the tyre wall.
There it is. A rear suspension spring from Barrichello's car, 800 grams on a 261. The impact point was centimeters above his left eye. The driver lost consciousness. His foot is still on the gas. It wasn't the pilot who hit the barrier, his body did. His consciousness faded at the moment of impact, like a blackout. Helicopter, Budapest Military Hospital. Diagnosis, skull fracture above the left eye. Doctor's assessment, life-threatening, 2 days in an induced coma, 2 surgeries, 9 days in the hospital. Later, a titanium plate will be implanted in his skull. Without it, he can't wear a racing helmet. His wife, 6 months pregnant, saw everything live. He saw nothing. 6 days before Budapest, a bouncing wheel killed Formula 2 driver Henry Surtees. 2 identical scenarios. 7 days. Surtees dead, Massa in a coma. 1 dark week and 1 question no one dares to say out loud. Will he ever get behind the wheel again? He's back. March 2010. Back behind the wheel of a Ferrari 7 months after his coma. After the 3rd race of the season, he even briefly leadered the championship. His place for the remainder of 2019, incidentally, was offered to Schumacher himself, but a neck injury prevented him from doing so.